we had trouble with joining. So I have heard that the meeting has been postponed to tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, why don't we just have a little class today for those people who want to stay?
Are you sure?
Yeah, just to chat a little
Right,
bit.
right. Right.
So,
In terms of the story, some of us, they have might have come up with the different, story. Some of us, have chosen the plot summary from the story, like the other popular story or movie, like the Moana or the other story that or movie that they find it interesting. Is it possible or not?
can we have a look at it?
Excuse me?
Can we have a look at it? Do you have it on your website?
So you want to see the website?
Yeah, just to discuss. Can someone tell someone to turn off, mute the mic?
Oh, all right.
I mean, we're hearing someone's kitchen.
Maybe they are taking up, something to eat.
All right. So, Chamnan, would you like to show your story?
Sure, why not? Just a moment.
Okay, is someone showing something? Is someone showing their website or their story?
Doctor. Hello, Dr. Ania.
Yeah.
Yeah. At the moment, I use two accounts to join these sessions.
Okay. So today we just have a chatting day or chatting class, just to have a look at our websites and discuss. Let's discuss our stories.
Yeah, sure. Let me share my. Can I share my screen?
Yes, by all means.
Excuse me?
Yes.
All right. So please let me know if you cannot hear me, because the connection is so, damn slow.
So is it Chamnan speaking?
Yeah, it's me. Can you view my screen?
Not yet, soon. Did you choose the window you want to show?
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah. So at the moment you wanted to see my my website, so I just walk you through it a bit.
So sweet. Okay, that's nice.
Yeah. So this is the title. The things that we chose this title is because that we believe that in a difficult situation there is in opportunities to grow and to develop ourselves. So that is why we have chosen this title. Yep, and wait a bit. So yep, this is just a small introduction. So the purpose of the website is to share with kids about the other inspiring story that they can read, and then it inspires them to to endure hardship or the to overcome the difficult situation that they might face in the future.
Yep.
And yep. Yeah. So here's the the story that we have taken from the the Ferdinand. Yeah. So actually this is the plot summary of the story. So but we have changed we have summarized of what important to show to share with the kids. Yeah, and along with the the different pictures. Yeah. Yeah. So this is the whole story here. Yeah, that's it, Doctor.
Okay, so we had a talk about it before, not to do things like that. So if this is for assessment, this is not what we expected. I'm happy with this story to be just something to share with the public. But for the assignment, the idea was to write something from yourself, something that you have noticed, something that you might want to share. That's the idea of creativity, but it's also the idea of using English to learn to either communicate something about Cambodia to the English people, or to communicate something that you learned in English to communicate to Cambodia. So, well, either way, to just use English as a platform or as a means for communication. Now, I've never heard about the Ferdinand the Flower Bull. Who wrote the story?
It's actually the movie, but we just we find it interesting, so we just.
Okay, so it's a movie. So it's a movie. Where do you say it on this website that this is a movie?
Here's the reference.
Okay. All right, can you scroll to the front to the beginning of the story, please? Just the first paragraph, if you don't mind.
Sorry?
Just the first paragraph.
It's just a paragraph, okay.
Do you know why the story begins one day in Spain? Why is it so important to mention Spain?
I think this is just the introduction.
Yes, but why do you say it happened in Spain? Why is it so important?
Okay, I might not be able to answer your question.
So you didn't write it, right? You copied and pasted it.
Yeah, actually, it's my friend's part.
It's your friend's what?
It's my friend's part. This we have divided into we have divided the task that one person is responsible for one story, and this is my friend's.
Okay, so you don't know, so that's why you can't explain.
Yep.
Okay, so it's not quite a summary. What it is, it's either copied and pasted, and this is plagiarism, or so this is not the genre of the style of a summary. I will be teaching you guys summary for assignment 3. This is not the genre of summary, so you cannot say this is a summary. What it is, it's the story retold, right? Story retold is not the same as summary. Summary is something like the story was about, so I'll go back to the ant and grasshopper because we know it so well. If I were to summarize, and I will teach you it later, if I were to summarize the story about the grasshopper and the ant, I would say things like the story about the grasshopper and the ant was written in order to contrast 2 different approaches to life, right? So now I am summarizing it with my own words, and I'm saying, what's the story really about? It's not about the ant and it's not about the grasshopper. It is about contrasting 2 approaches to life, or to the cycle of life, which is the winter, summer, all of that. This text doesn't say what the story is about. It actually retells the story. As you can see, it says one day in Spain, which is very similar to the grasshopper story, which is told by the author, where they say, what was it? In a field one summer's day. So this is not summary. Summary says straight away what the story is dealing with. Whereas here, the way how the first paragraph begins, it is not a summary, it's telling the story. Because the text tells the story, we cannot call it summary. But also, it makes me worried because I feel that was copied and pasted. And this is not the point of assignment 1. Assignment 1 was like the stories we looked at while using other websites. So for example, your perspectives on COVID, your perspectives on whatever you have seen in your life, your perspectives, right? It's about you drafting something that you want to tell. It is not about you retelling the story of the movie. You can review a movie, that's different. If you reviewed the movie, that's great. But if you copied and pasted, not you, but if your colleague copied and pasted a story, what can we assess here? We can't assess your friend's capacity to write. And what I'm teaching for what I had been teaching for the last 6 or 7 weeks is for you to learn how to read critically, and also as a result, how to write. I can't assess your friend's writing because this is copied and pasted. So in every sense, this is a fail, because what we wanted from your friend is to actually engage readers with his head. So if your friend was watching this, has seen this movie, wouldn't it be nice to write a review or to pick the essence of the story and tell us why that story is touching or is important to your friend? So assignment 1 is about writing a text that you created and comes from your heart, from seeing the world and from being in the world. It's not about retelling a movie. And I think this one, yeah. Okay, so I see that this story was actually written by your friend, retold by your friend, because it's it has mistakes in it. So it is a way of telling a story. Can you just give me 5 seconds? I will just look at it. Could you in the chat, please send the link to it?
Okay, fine. Just a minute.
Yeah, that would help. So what your friend tried to do is to tell the story based on the movie. I think that's what the idea was. As if you don't mind to stop sharing, that would be good. If you can stop sharing. All right, so I will just I will just try to. Can you see my screen?
I do.
That's magnificent. So what story was that? Was it number 2? Yeah. So your friend is telling a story that he took from the movie. One day in Spain, on a bull ranch called Casatero, 3 young calves were waiting to see which of the older bulls was getting picked to fight a matador, little Fernando, a matador. Okay, we will work with the text as it is, okay? So your friend was trying to tell the story based on the movie, so we will work with this. Why not? We'll just do our best. Let's hope we can. All right, so because we sit in separate homes, it's very difficult for us to join in groups to discuss the first paragraph. But let us try, okay? So what I will do, I will read the text, I will correct a few grammar mistakes, but other than that, I will read the text. One day in Spain, on a bull training ranch called Casa del Toro, 3 young calves wait to see, or are waiting to see which of the older bulls will get picked up, will get picked to fight the matador or a matador, right? All right, so what we have here, we have Spain, and Spain tells us that that's where they have bullfights. So that's pretty nice. Who is little Ferdinand?
I think Ferdinand is the protagonist of the story.
So you can see that it's okay to do that, to introduce new figure, but you could say one of the calves, I don't know who's little Ferdinand, or a capital if you want, little Ferdinand, right? So you need to describe who is the little Ferdinand, because it's really hard to make sense. So let's, I'm guessing that little Ferdinand is one of the young calves. Okay, so let's assume we're pretty good with the introduction, right? I think the introduction is pretty good, right? So we're in Spain, and 3 young calves are waiting to see which of the older bulls will be picked to fight. But we learned together from our classes that in order to so as you write a story, you need to have a sequence, right? We need to have a sequence. So let me do something. So we were saying that we need to have a sequence. We have a focus, and I think that here the guy did very well, right? But it is very hard to make up. Why are we talking about Ferdinand, you know, paying attention to the rose? He gets bullied. So he gets bullied, not bully, but bullied. That the D has to be pronounced. Otherwise, you write bully. He gets bullied, bullied, right? So he gets bullied by the other calves, but mostly by Valentine, and his body's okay. The calves are watching as the older bulls, which include Ferdinand and Valentine's fathers, start to fight for victory. Chooses Ferdinand's death. The bull says goodbye to his son. So it's very hard to assess this story because well, I'm looking for disturbance. Where is the problem here? right? So when you write your stories, and I strongly recommend that you don't engage in creative writing. At this very moment, just write texts like a reporter, what happened, what you have seen, what you would want to share. When you engage in creative writing, the rules are the same, but it gets tougher because the text is more has more threads, more items in it. So if you have if your friend has a focus here, we need to somehow, in order for the story to be told coherently, we need to see the relationship between the focus and what follows next. Why is this focus of importance to the story? How is it creating a story? How is this focus creating the story? So I can see that little Ferdinand has problems with some other cows. All right, so has problems with other cows. Okay, how's that linking? How's that linking with this? And now we are returning back to watching the older bulls, right? So we're returning here to the, I will make it yellow. So here we are returning back to this. This sentence is pretty much repetition of this. And the reason why your friend is repeating the beginning again, it's because your friend put this thing here, right? So this thing here doesn't belong. Once you remove this from your draft, then you don't have to repeat that. Okay. So I'm just trying to show you how you could connect it better. Oh, not you, your friend. So as you can see, what I'm inviting you here and what I'm demonstrating is the thinking process. You know, how do we make connections in our text to make sure we have focus, disturbance, and then dialogue on the problem? So they Sri Ankav's way to see which of the bulls. One of the calves, little Ferdinand, tends to a rose that he planted in the field. He gets bullied by other calves, but mostly Valentine and his buddies, Gapo and La. I'm going to copy this again. Sorry. One of the calves, little Ferdinand, tends to a rose that he has planted in the field. He gets bullied by the other calves, but mostly Valentine. And his body's da-da-da. Okay, so we have a problem here, right? Because the matador chose the father of a good guy and the father of a bad guy. So here's the problem, right? The matador, are you guys there? Are you hearing me?
Yeah, we are following.
Okay, so I'm trying to look for the disturbance. Okay, so we are in Spain. So one of the calves, so looking for disturbance. Disturbance is that one of the calves, little Ferdinand, he gets bullied, and his father and the father of the person of the calf that bullies him were chosen by the matador. The calves watches the older bulls, which included the fathers, start to fight for victory. Okay, so the Ferdinand, no, it wasn't. The father, not father, the fathers of the two calves who are on opposing sides, right? So the fathers of two little calves are fighting, and clearly the bull, who is the father of the good calf, won. So the matador now chooses Ferdinand. So that's the good boy's father. The bull says goodbye to his son. Okay, so that's a good disturbance. That's a good disturbance. Sorry, guys. I just had to read into it to focus. So that's a good focus. Dialogue. Let's see whether we have something on the dialogue. Later on, Ferdinand sees the truck that took his dad come back. But so this is dialogue, but because these are reflections. So these are dialogue, right? Reflections of Ferdinand, of little Ferdinand. Ferdinand. Okay, so these are reflections of little Ferdinand. I hope I spelled it right. So later on, Ferdinand sees the truck that took his dad come back, but he's not in it. Now, why are you guys writing always in present tense? Later on, Ferdinand, why not write saw the truck that took his dad come back, but he was not in it? Ferdinand realized, why not write it in the past tense? Ferdinand realized something must have happened to him. So this is reflection on the problem, right? The problem is in the story that Ferdinand's father was challenged by the matador. And then reflections now. So it's a dialogue on the problem. Oh my God, what happened to my daddy? The truck took my daddy, and now the truck is back and my daddy is not here. I think I'm gonna die of being heartbroken, right? So this is a dialogue. So that's pretty good. Now while I am happy that the story as I'm reading now is following the sequence of focus, disturbance, dialogue, I'm very happy with it. I am really troubled because I don't know whether the student who wrote that story, whether he simply translated it from someone. I don't know whether it's his creative writing. I just need to know, and I'm not sure. Do you know? Is this someone?
Excuse me, doctor. At the moment, I got some problem with my internet. I did this, teacher, but actually, some of the contents I took from the internet, and some of them I wrote by myself.
Yeah, so at this very moment, I have to praise you for the fact that the story follows a nice sequence, exactly how I teach. But I think it was an excellent exercise. But I think for assignment 1, I would prefer that you write a review of this film. Use whatever you've written, the text, and now think how you can turn it into a review. Why did you watch this movie? Why do you feel that it is important to share the story? What's in it for you? What's in it for the reader? Do you know the moral of a story? What's the moral of a story?
I think in this movie, the story, the moral of this story is about be kind to other, and everybody has our own favorites or own thing.
Right, so let us have a look if it is there in the text. Right, so why not turn, I mean, you've done an excellent job trying to work with the resources you found on the internet. Now write a shorter story, but make it, turn your text that you were using, that you created as a little draft, don't delete it from your website, leave it there, call it story 4, or of you know, favorite movies retold, you know, favorite movies retold. You could have a page name like that. Don't delete it. But for assessment in this unit, in this subject, I suggest you write a review. What happened? Why you actually, so the focus would be on something like, why do you feel compelled to talk about this movie? Right? Why do you feel compelled? What problem are you feeling you want to discuss in relation to this movie? Right? Something like that. But why do I write W at the end? And then for dialogue, I think in that sequence, you could write about, tell us more on that problem, why it is touching you or important to you. Touching means touching your heart. Right, so what happened? Resolutions, so outcome, and then the moral. So what happened in the movie in relation to what you think is important to share with others, right? So what do you want us to learn from your review, and what is in it for us? So like the moral. So I would structure it this way. So I like the way you organize the story. I think it's very good. But because it's not fully your text, it makes it, it bridges with plagiarism, right? And that's what we don't want. What we now want is for you to use this text to now tell something from within you. What do you think? So that, pardon me. So this, I'm just gonna put in red what I think could be a structure of your review. I think that what you have there, you leave it, that the text you have on the website, I would leave it. I think it's good. Just leave it for some people because it's a story you wanted to share with others, but it's not really a story coming out of you. And it's collecting different pieces from different people. I think now if you can open a new page, and on a new page, write a review of this movie and why do you, and tell us what touches you about this movie and why you want to write about this movie. So it will require a lot of thinking from you, but that's the idea, because the curriculum, the national curriculum of Cambodia wants our students to engage, or our students in Cambodia to engage with life and to learn to think, not just to say things, but also learn the process of thinking. And when you do that and you follow these questions, so you start the story by trying to feel compelled. Why are you talking about it? What is it in around you today that makes you want to share with others the story about kindness? Right? Why this story? Why don't you want to talk about Cinderella and 7 dwarfs, or whatever it was, Snow White and 7 dwarfs? You want this story. There's something in it that made you remember the story, and right. So now when you write the review, tell us something in the focus. Focus us on what matters in this movie, and then tell us about the problem you believe it addresses. Tell us more about the problem. Why is it important? Tell us what happened in real life and also in the movie, and how do you connect these things? Tell us what's in it. What do you want us to learn from the movie? And finish with the moral. I think you may find challenging this assignment, but this is where all the national standards of education are going. So I would find it challenging to write it. It would have taken me probably a few days. So 1 day to draft it and a couple of days to redraft it to make it better. So that's my comment. I would like to hear other people's comments if you have any. I will stop sharing and we will see what other people will say. Now, one of the good things is that even if you feel a little bit insecure, I think it's good to talk, and we learn from chatting together. So anyone else would like to contribute on this story, something on this particular task that we just saw summarized? Okay, we've got this person here. It's in front of me. Have pictures. Samniang. I don't know. Do you have something? Would you like to share some of your views on it?
No, teacher, because I'm not complete, teacher.
Have you got a story written yourself? Have you started your draft? Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sorry, teacher, because today my son is here, make noise in class.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here, even though your son is around. So thank you so much. Okay, so let's try with Makara Sok. Would you like to share with us some of your thoughts or something about your story that you started drafting?
Yes, teacher. My group will share it Yeah. Ratana, could you share it, please?
Uh, could you see my my screen, teacher?
Yes, we all can.
Yeah, yeah. This is our website. Uh, Not much change on the home page. As you can see, we got a quote with 3 members. Imagination is more powerful and lasts for century when it comes to our written papers. And I just but the team put the question here to grab attention, so the reader can read the reason why they are here. The first questions we take the writer imagination into consideration. So the reader here, the reader here will get some imagination from each story of the writer. This is about us. We are here to write the story is the story is done by a 3 lecturers. And then this is the future question, a short statement. It is not completed yet, but we just want to share you that it likes my part for the third one. It's related to the favorite shoe, so I just put some attentions that your best partner is your favorite pair of shoe. They bring you everywhere and protect you from everything. What will you sing when they are born? When they are born and at end of their service. So if the reader interest in this one, the third one, so they can click on it. So it will redirect into the page 3. This is the end page with we recall the name of the author, the 3 authors. So let's go to the first story. Story 1. You can click on here or click below here to read the list. Nakra, would you describe your story? Hello, Nakra.
Yes. This is my story, story 1, and it's just from my idea. All of the text here is from my idea and what I see around me. This is I just want to show the love in this era, and I want to compare love in the old generation and in this nowadays. But I'm sorry, teacher. Maybe my computer have some problem. I cannot see it clearly. So this one, the main point in this story, I just want to focus on love. So as we see love in the old generation and nowadays use nowadays, it seems like if we compare in the old generation, people they didn't know each other before they get married. So some of them they just were combined from other people from their family, but they can stay with each other forever from before until now. But as I see youth nowadays, most of them they choose the couple by themselves, but I don't know why sometimes they cannot stay with each other so long. So this is just I want to show here, and the focus one is just in the digital. Just now we have a social network and they know each other in the social. Yes, teacher.
Okay, so let me share the screen now, okay? And can you please put the link to your story in the chat?
Yeah, yes, teacher. I will share. I will drop the link.
Oh, good. Let us actually look at it a little bit. So, so I have to say that both websites, I'm very impressed by Chenman's. I was at Chenman's and now this one, very impressed. All is very nice. We are just discussing how to redraft the story, right? How to make things better, because that's how we learn. So, so let us read first this section, and remember what I'm looking for is whether your sequence, whether your story follows the sequence of what I consider to be the sequence of all texts, right? So if we decide that it does, that's good. If we decide that it doesn't, then we have to ask ourselves why it doesn't. Okay, so let us read first, from the start. People all around the world always have to love someone or everyone. It can be their family, someone special, or other people in the society. Love Psychology book gives the definition of love that it is a deadly virus that no scientist can find the vaccine to not let it into our life. It's a deadly virus. Especially in this book also expresses that Mr. Midada, who is a famous singer in Cambodia, gives the definition of love. It is the brave sacrifice for each other and honest forever. Okay, so you're writing about love. Do we know why? As we read the first paragraph, can we tell why you have focused on love?
Yes, teacher. I I have no idea. I just want to choose the love story.
Right. So we all do that. But now you have to keep in mind that someone is to read it. So let me say to you, let me show to you how someone, I haven't read your story and I might be wrong. But when you don't give people a reason why to read your story about love, what they do, someone like me sits here and says, okay, people around the world need to love. Okay. Love is this, love is this, love is this. Love has multiple shapes, love is this, love is this, love is that. And there are lots of things where love is there and some things where love is not there. And I'm thinking, what's the point? Right? An adult reading your story has very little time. And that, children may have more time, but adults have little time. And they're reading your text and they're wondering, why am I reading that story? That's what's the purpose of the problem. I'll just I copy this and that, and we will go to my PowerPoint. And we will reflect a little bit. And we'll see how things add up. So just go here. We will do the same what we did with the previous story. So the topic is great. Don't change the topic. We are just wondering whether you gave justice to the topic, right? You need to give justice to the topic. Otherwise, you may lose the importance of it. So with the grasshopper, what we had a problem because grasshopper was really happy. And then the problem came. Someone else is not hopping around. Someone else was working hard. So let's have a look whether that kind of contrast is in your text. I don't think this is really copied well. Oh my God. People, let's make it nice. People over in the, so we're looking for what I call, so I put it in brackets so you don't write it inside of the text, right? So we're looking at focus. So what are we gonna talk about? People all around the world always have the love, always have the love for someone or everyone. Yeah, that's true. That's a good focus, right? Love matters everywhere. I like that focus. That's good. It's well expressed. We all love or have this need. But what problem are you talking about? What do you want to solve? Or through your text? What would you like to solve through the text? You will say to me, do I have to always solve something through my text? Well, yes. For example, when you say hello to your friend in the morning, right? You see your friend and you say, hi. And the reason why you say it is in order to ensure that you solve the problem, which is, if you don't say hello to your friend, she will think you hate her or you no longer talk to her, right? So every time we write a text or produce a text, it is to solve a problem. We don't see it because it is automatic. But every time we open our mouth, it is to prevent confusion. If you say to your husband, I love you, you prevent the confusion. You don't want him to think you don't. Or you want, you may see that your husband has a bad day. You say, I love you. And it is to solve his problem, which is not everything is bad in your life. Look, I am here. So it is not clear at this very moment when I read your introduction. So the introduction is good, but now I want to know what problem you want to solve. But you don't, you simply go to, you simply jump to dialogue, right? What do people say? You jump to dialogue, you miss the problem, right? You didn't specify problem. You've jumped to dialogue, but we do not know what the problem is. What is the problem? So how can we tell that your dialogue is on the right subject? Your dialogue here really is still about the focus. People laugh, people talk about love, people define love. Okay, right? So that's that's your, this section here is almost like a continuation of focus, right? People love, and then people define love. Great. So I'm still looking for the problem. At this very moment, your structure is, your focus was people love and define love. But what is the problem? So let us read some more. Maybe you have it there. Love has multiple shapes, including love with pettiness, love by desire or passion just for a while, lightning love, love by looking at each other for a long time, cat and mouse and love by combination from the family. Most of the love in the previous generation occurred by parents or other people chose for them. Right. I strongly suggest that for short sentences, you use Google Translate. It will help you structuring your text. Please use Google Translate for short sentences, not long. If you write long sentences, it's no good. Short sentences, it will translate well. Otherwise, now is different from before. Okay, so love has many shapes. So it's not really so you now want to go to development because you want to talk about, so what's happening, right? You want to now talk about what's happening, which is good, but I'm not sure yet whether we have a problem. So I'm just looking for a problem. So here you start to signal the problem, right? Maybe too late in the text, right? Because we still don't know why we're talking about love. Most of the love in the previous generation. So can you tell us why you talk about this? Because this is, I think, where your problem is, but it's a little bit late in the text. The information was known or transferred to each other via technology. Today is different. The information now, otherwise now is different from before. Information was now transferred to each other via technology, digital, even though they are at different side of places. People know each other by digital. What is the problem? Can you just word it to us? I have to turn switch off. I have to shut the window because of the rain. It's very interesting because unless you are clear what the problem is, you need to be clear what you are actually addressing in your text. So you say things like, in the previous generation, the people we love were either our family or were chosen by our family. Today we have technology. Why are you talking about all of that? Identify the problem. You started well.
Okay, teacher, let me think about the problem.
Right. I think, okay, well, I can leave it here and let you think about it. But something tells me to be a little bit more pushy. You know, it's very hard as a teacher to identify when to leave a student and let the student solve the problem, or whether to go on with the discussion. This is why it would be helpful from other students to have some input from other students to help you and to help me. So is anyone else thinking, what's the problem is the student addressing? Can we give our friend some ideas? What's the problem? How would we indicate, by the way, that so, okay, so what's the problem and how would we indicate it in the text?
Can I get some idea? Actually, within this text, I think the problem is the change from last generation into this one, from the old generation into the digital era. The way that people have love are really different from the previous generation. So Mẹ Khóa try to address the changes compare from the old one, compare between the old one to the new one.
But what exactly, what's the change about? What has changed? Whom we love? It has changed whom we loved? We no longer love our parents? What exactly has changed?
It like she mentioned that in the old generation, although the love was arranged by parents, but they still last long. Unlike the digital era, that people just know each other through social media, but it don't last long like the old generation.
Okay, so if that, say, let's assume that's what it is. So sounds good. Thank you for helping. So what's if I were to signal problem now, okay, how would I say it? What would be the, but, you know, but are we, and here's some question, right? So but would interrupt this, right? Because here it's very peaceful. It's like with the grasshopper. Oh, people love and always have loved. So it's very peaceful. And now we need to create a problem, right? So we need to interrupt that peace. And we need to now confuse. We need to challenge. We want to intrigue the reader. So the emotion changes. Right, so first is people all around the world love, blah, 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 but are we what? Choosing a love object, right, something like this. I don't know, is this what you want to talk about? So this is something that you may want to think. Is this the question you want to answer in your story, or a different question? Are we choosing our love objects? Because you talk about love objects, right? We love family, we love whatever. Are we choosing our love objects right? And then you could say, well, this is your dialogue now. Dialogue on what subject? The dialogue should be on what problem? Sorry, on what problem? The problem of choosing the love object right. Right, so so this is something you keep in mind. You don't write those words. These are the reflections that you keep in your mind when you write the text. Okay, so my focus is on love, so I've written the text. Then now I have to signal a problem. Okay, so the problem is maybe, but are we choosing our love objects? But are we today choosing our love objects right? Something like that. So now make sure that if this is what the problem is, make a good link between this and the problem of choosing so when you say love is a deadly virus, right? We are all infected. Develop this paragraph to make a link with the problem of choosing the right love objects. That's what I would advise, right? So focus is good. I would add the problem here, for example, but are we today choosing our love objects right? But are we today choosing our love objects right? Now you go to the section of the dialogue and you say, well, you don't write those things in red. These are your reflections, how to write good text, right? So this is what you think to yourself. Okay, now it's a section of dialogue. I need to say something about the problem of choosing the right love objects. Well, the psychology book says this is what's love. Then this particular person that we respect says this. So what? So make the connection here with the problem, right? And to do that, you develop this paragraph a little bit more to connect with the problem. So he says that you have to sacrifice. So they say that we are all infected. He says it involves sacrifice. Now develop this paragraph a little bit more to connect with the problem. Maybe it does not matter how we choose our loves. You can even say it. So maybe it doesn't matter how we choose our loves. Maybe what matters is if we still can love and be brave to sacrifice ourselves for others. Something like that, right? So that's the connection. So you are still sort of, so your dialogue is connecting now with your problem. So maybe it does not matter how we choose our loves. Maybe what matters is if we can be brave to sacrifice ourselves for love. Right? So that's a good one. It's a good development of your text. Right? So I added this sentence, then you wrote this, so it's all good. Then this is my comment, and I added this. This is how I developed your paragraph. So basically that Mr. Mida, who is a famous singer in Cambodia, gave the definition of love. It is the brave. It is brave. I don't know. It is the brave it is brave to sacrifice for each other. I think you need to check that translation. This is not very good English. It is brave to sacrifice ourselves for each other and be honest forever. Something like that. So maybe it does not matter how we choose our loves. Maybe what matters is if we can be brave to sacrifice ourselves for love, right? And then you can go on. Now development. So what is happening? Well, you can say, you can continue with your text and tell your story about how people meet objects of love today. You can talk about Facebook, LinkedIn, TikTok, whatever. You can do whatever you want. But remember, your story, your text has to finish with a moral, right? Because otherwise the audience don't know what to take or what to make up from your text. So it has to have a problem like we have here, and then it will have to have at the end, it will have to have a moral. So we've done the focus, we've done the disturbance, we've done the dialogue. Now you need to do the development, resolution, and moral, right? I think I helped you a lot with that. I'm going to take, in order for you to actually keep that, I will post it in, I'll stop sharing now. I'll post it in, oh, I can't do it. I'll post it in our chat so you can, I don't know why I can't post it. I can't post it in the chat. I just did. All right. So you can now select. So I'll share the screen. What happened here? Anyway, when you see the screen, go to the chat, select the whole text that I just posted in the chat, control right click, copy it, or right copy it and then paste it into your own notes to have it as help. But anyway, that's what I think, how you can improve your text. Did you like those suggestions, or do you have, Chairman? Yes, please. What would you like to say?
Right. So so what I want to request is that I just want you to share the slides with us, and if possible, I would like you to walk us through a bit about the the sequence that we might need to look at when we develop the story, just briefly, if possibly.
Okay, Chairman, were you here were you with us last week?
I was, at the very end.
Yeah, so I might send you, did you watch the video from last week?
Briefly.
Yeah, so it's important that we watch those videos, because it's very hard sometimes. I will go through the sequence by all means. I think it's important to do that. But also it's important to watch those lectures. So I'll just see. Yeah. So did you want to show us something?
No, doctor.
So you only want me to take you through the sequence, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the lecture from last week. This is part 2. It's on part 1. We have 2 parts from last week's lecture because my video got interrupted. So we have that. I think that I talk about the sequence in part 2. So I only put the link there. Okay, the sequence. So where's my... So the sequence is pretty good. So let us share the screen. Does anyone else want to comment about the sequence of the text before I make my own explanation to Chairman? So it goes like this. It's remember, every text has the same structure. Now people play with the structure a little bit, but for our own benefit, this is the first time you're seeing these things. So for our own benefit, we would just stick to the simplest way to talk about it. But every text has this structure. So I might next week show you how even a recipe has this structure. A recipe how to make a cake has this. Every text has this structure. But let me take you through it. So basically, I like this. So I will just put this to the side. So here's this sequence nicely summarized in the picture. The reason why I have said it many times, but I will repeat it again because it's very difficult to remember every word we said over a two-hour lecture, right? Each of our lectures is 2 hours, so it's very difficult to remember. Okay, so every text has the same sequence. Every text consists of 6 stages. I will not go to paragraphs today because paragraphs also have this structure, but let's talk about first the whole text today. So the reason why I do the fables when I teach critical thinking and writing is because fables are short and you can see on one page the whole sequence. So we discussed last week that the fable of the grasshopper and the ant did not start accidentally with the words that were used in the beginning, right? Every word was chosen on purpose. And that helped us focus the story. The fable with the grasshopper and the ant did not start, there was a grasshopper and the ant. And you can, for yourselves, think, and these reflections are useful for you when you talk to your children, because you want to teach reading to your children, right? So you can actually have these conversations with your children. Some of you may have children, but if you don't have them, you will. So why didn't the story of the grasshopper and the ant start by saying, there was a grasshopper and an ant? It didn't start with it because the story was not about the grasshopper and the ant. It was about danger, right? So the story very quickly focuses us into danger. Field is danger. What's not danger? Your mother's home. If a story started, your mother's home, your mother's kitchen, your mother's love, your mother's care, none of that are danger. If a story starts or begins with the word mother and all other words, mother's house, mother's home, mother's kitchen, mother's food, mother's cooking, all of it is about comfort, right? But it didn't feel. It started with the words, I will remind you, it started in a field. Oh, sorry, I don't know. In a field, one summer's day. It started with the field because in the field, things go sometimes well and sometimes not well. As you know, you are in Cambodia, but if you lived in Siberia or in Poland, where I come from, you know that in summer it's all good. There's plenty of food, plenty of grain in the field. But come winter, the same field looks completely differently, right? So the fable begins with the field to show you that field is comfort, but it is not mother's house where you always have comfort. Field means it's flippant. Sometimes it's comfort, but sometimes it's winter. And winter means lack of comfort. You do not want to sleep on the street in Europe, because in summer it's okay, but in winter you may die, and many do, right? So in a field it's like, for us human beings, this is like on the street, right? Sometimes it's okay, but sometimes it's not. So the story focused us instantly, not on the grasshopper, but on the field where it can be warm and where it can be cold. But it also focused us on summer. And it said, today it's okay, today it's warm, today there's abundance. And a grasshopper is hopping around because the grasshopper is enjoying the abundance. So the story never focused us on the grasshopper, the story focused us on the contrast between the field of, the story focused us on the contrast that the field contains. Sometimes it's good and the grasshopper is happy, but look at the next sentence. You've got to be prepared, right? So the focus was on the field and the dangers and comforts at times that it presents. So that's the focus. Where do you place the reader's attention? So it's all good here, although the danger is here, right in the first words. But then we have the end. The end is not hopping about. The end now interrupts the piece of the grasshopper. Something happened, right? So it could be many things. When you read the Cinderella story, there was a happy family living. The father, the mother, and a girl. Her name was not Cinderella, it was a girl. And they lived happily. The mother loved the father and the little girl, and the father really, really loved his family and loved his wife and the little girl. We have a joyful scene in the focus of Cinderella. Sorry, I don't know Khmer stories, right? So I have to talk generic stories. So Cinderella begins all happiness, but we know that families, although they may be happy today, things change because life changes. So we have this happy household where everybody loves each other, but one day the mother dies. You see, the problem is introduced, right? It's all this happy family, everybody happy and everybody loving each other, and bang, there's an interruption, and that's the problem, right? And the whole story will be about the problem, how people came to terms with the problem. That's what stories are. Stories are about illustrating how people come to terms with the problem. And the problem was, can they continue in a loving way with Cinderella? Can they continue their happy, loving life after the mother died? Right? So, and then there will be a dialogue. Obviously, I don't have a story in front of me, but there will be a dialogue. And they were crying. So there was the dialogue here is the reaction to the problem. They were crying. The father was very upset and all of that, right? So that's a dialogue, which is the reflections on the problem. People discuss it or people think it themselves. Either way. So here in the grasshopper story, we have grasshopper talking to the end. But in the story we just saw, I think it was the one about the cows, the Ferdinand and the other calf, right? That was reflection. The Ferdinand was thinking to himself. In the dialogues section, the stage, the Ferdinand calf was thinking to itself, where is my father? He said goodbye to me and he went by a truck. The truck is back. Where's my father? These are the reflections. And then the story develops, right? So we have focus, then we have, and the mother died. And we know that when mother dies in the loving family, it's a problem. Then we have a dialogue. What does it mean? The father is upset. The girl is crying. You know, everybody buried her. Nobody can come to terms with it, whatever is happening. And then is development. And development is about, so what happened next? Well, what happened next? A few years went by and the father decided that the little girl needed a mother. And so he remarried. And other things happened as a result. Now, and then the story finishes with whatever happened, and then is the moral to the story. Now, Cinderella obviously is longer than Grasshopper. So let me first show you how it looks. So with the Grasshopper, the resolution after the dialogue, why don't you chat with me? Why don't you just, you know, have a happy day with me? And the end says, no, you can't. You have to collect food for the winter. Okay, so the development is they had their talk and the end went and continued its work. And resolution is, so what happened as a result, right? So what happened? And every part of the text refers always to the problem. So the dialogue was about the problem. Why was the end working hard and not enjoying the summer's day? The development was, so what happened next in relation to the problem? Well, the ant went on working and obviously Grasshopper didn't. So the resolution is, okay, so they had a problem. So how was it resolved? Resolution is simple. Grasshopper died. But before the grasshopper died, it suffered and suffered every day watching the ants eating. Look at the emotional words they choose. The fable doesn't say the grasshopper died in winter. It says, had no food, felt hungry, and at the same time was still watching the ants distributing food every day, not just once, not just twice, every day. So he died and he felt his own stupidity every day as he kept on dying, right? So that every day stresses the pain, communicates the pain. So there's a lot of emotion in these texts, right? The author doesn't have to tell us that the grasshopper was tortured by watching the ants eating and him not. But the author puts it there. The fable says, basically, you know, grasshopper had no food. And then the fable wants to make us see it. What does it mean? Feel the resolution. Feel it, not just report it. Feel it. Well, feel it. He was starved and he was suffering because he was tortured, watching the ants every day eating what they stored. So that's the resolution. So what happened from the conflict? And the conclusion is, which is the moral for the audience, what should you take out of this story? Well, prepare. That's the moral. We told you that story so that you remember. Prepare, because if you don't, you will not just starve, you will be tortured. Not by anybody, but by yourself. So that's the sort of thing. However, if I can show you some other things, and especially with Cinderella, I'm just looking at my PowerPoint if it has it. This particular one I have prepared. So I'll show you something. Oh, that's silly. Really silly. My I just want to show you something. No. So I'm looking into materials that I have used for teaching in my courses, and I will find it. Just need to do that. Let's have a look. No, that's not. I'm sorry for that. No. So I will just tell you that because I can't find the specific PowerPoint. So I will show you how it looks like. When the story is a little bit longer, like say the Cinderella. So what happens in a story when a story is longer? We will copy this, we will duplicate this particular slide. And what happens? So let's rewrite it with Cinderella. Focus was happy family, right? Disturbance was something happened. All right, happy family. Disturbance was what? Mother died. So dialogue. The dialogue is here, reflections on the change, right? Everybody cries. The girl is upset, the father is upset, you know, a huge change. People in the community were upset, and the people in the community, so development. So what happened next? What happened in Cinderella's story was people told their father to marry someone else. And so he did. Now, in the Cinderella story, because it's a long story, it doesn't jump from the development to resolution. It actually goes back to disturbance and dialogue. What happens then? So we had development, so the father married, right? So disturbance. The first disturbance is the new mother was not nice to the girl. Then basically, you know, we have a discussion about you know, what did that mean, you know, but the girl was not feeling the fractions on change. The girl didn't feel, the girl did not feel included or whatever. And, you know, I'm just making it up now because I don't remember the story. And the development, the girl slept in the attic and I don't know how to spell attic, double T, sorry for that. Slept in the attic and was excluded from the regular life. But again, resolution doesn't happen. What happens now? It's another disturbance. Next disturbance is the ball. Right, there was a ball, the prince called the ball, reflection, oh my god, excitement, everybody excited, right? And development, the girl was excluded from attending the ball. So you get the point that when the story is long, the process of disturbance and development gets repeated many times. Right? And again, until you get finally to resolution, right? And then there is a moral. Being kind pays off in the long run, right? That was the moral of Cinderella. So this is an explanation that I'm producing to you now, so you get a better picture. Not every story is as short as the grasshopper and the ant. So in order to make the story longer, the text bring a new problem. But every new problem is always related to the main problem, right? No, this problem and this problem and this problem wouldn't happen the way they did had the mother not died. So the main problem is the mother dies and then everything changes, right? And then we're learning about the new challenges that the agents in the story, or the actors in the story, are experiencing. So we have the new mother hating the girl, then the ball happens, then oh, did I change something here? Then the ball happened, and then what happens next time? The next disturbance, what was it? So the girl was excluded from attending the ball. Then the next one, the new mother did not allow the girl to test the shoe. Remember, the girl had to put the shoe on, and the mother didn't allow Cinderella to test the shoe. So there was another complication, and so on. So there's many complications that authors introduce in order to lengthen the text, the story. But either way, the generic structure of the story is maintained, but each story has only one focus, one resolution, and one moral. But it can have many disturbances, many dialogues, and many developments, right? And in this way, the story progresses. So, so that's the sequence of text. Short sequences like this, we have seen it in the grasshopper and the ant. Long sequence is created by the author by repeating the disturbance, dialogue, development. So disturbance, what happened, mother died, dialogue, what happened as a result, the people told the father to get married, and so he did. And then new things happened, new problem. The girl is excluded, it's one problem that happened. Then another problem happened, the ball happened, right? And the girl was excluded again. And another problem, the mother didn't allow the girl to try on the shoe, so and so on and so on. So the authors play with this structure to extend the story. So the idea is for us, for our purpose, to remember that once we focus the story, which is, for example, about love, people always love. People, no, we all love, most of us in any event, not all, but most of us, right? And our loves are funny. Some of them are good, some of them bad, whatever they are, but we kind of have this love, need for love. But in order for people to understand why you are talking about love, you need to give us the reason, so that we can then understand the moral, because the moral comes from the problem. The problem introduces complication to life. So if the ant didn't work hard in summer, we wouldn't learn that being prepared is important, right? We only learned the value of the moral here. It's best to prepare for the days of necessity. We only learned the value of this moral because of the problem, of the disturbance, of the complication of this in the story. And the disturbance was that interruption of this happy moment. There's a summer, the grasshopper is hopping about, it's all good. And now we have a disturbance. The ant is working very hard in the middle of a summer's day, right? So the disturbance gave us a context for understanding the moral. So the same in the story about love. If we are to, if a student wants to make us understand love, whatever her moral might be, you know, her moral about love might be just love. It is best to just love. It is best to, I don't know, whatever is the structure, whatever she will conclude this, what is best, it is best to do what? Right? So so wherever her story is going with the love, it has to finish with that moral so that people will see, ah, I get it. So in order for the story to have a moral, you have to have a problem. In the end, and the grasshopper, the problem was the ant was working hard in the middle of a summer's day. That's a nonsense. Shouldn't be. You should be going to the swimming pool and having a great day. Right. So we need a disturbance in order to understand the point of the story. So that wasn't there in the story of love, on love. So that needed to be inserted. And then the dialogue needs to be a reflection on that problem. So what's the significance of the problem? And you need to construct that dialogic stage of the text in such a way that it makes sense to the reader. That's why we expanded a bit the text, right? We wrote this text. So when we had the text on love, we added, I will underline this, we added this particular text in blue so that that dialogic stage would have been connected to the problem, right? So that there's a coherence inside of the text. So this is just an introduction. Then it's the problem. Then we had some definitions of love. And then we had some more reflection that when the student included these definitions of love and perspectives on love, the student should have connected now this perspective to the problem. So why you know, so what do these things make you think of? Or they make me think that maybe it's not important whom we love, important is that we love. I don't know, something like that. And then, okay, so now take us through your story, the development. Take us, so what has happened? Well, what has happened in terms of the problem, right? The problem is today we are choosing our love objects differently, right? But are we today choosing our love objects right? Well, tell us on that problem. So what happened? and tell us what's the resolution from all of this in relation to the problem. What's the finding from your story, and then what's the moral? The finding in the story about the finding in the grasshopper story was that the grasshopper was tortured, starved, died, and was also tortured, and aware of his own stupidity, that he didn't work when the time was for work. That was the finding of the story. And the conclusion, which means the moral, was, well, get prepared, because it's not always summer. So these are when we write a text, we need to think that it needs to be coherent, and we need to think about how to make elements of the text connect to each other, that we do get a story out of it, and that the text is interesting to read by someone. It's not just, oh, this is what people say about love, and I think about love this, and love just is, and I'm just so reflective, and it's time for the dinner. Make it somehow. I didn't read the whole text on love because I just don't have in this class enough time. But I hope that this discussion helped us to see what coherence of a text means and how important the reader is. It's very hard to produce a good text. And the only reason why it's hard, it's because we don't think about coherence. And we get really good at it at the age of 50, but then it's just a bit late. So one of the jobs that I have taken in this course is to actually pay attention with you and learn and discuss text coherence. Okay, Chanman, how are you going with that explanation?
Well, this is very helpful, Doctor. Actually, yep. If I reflect back on the Cinderella story, this is actually true, and this is quite quite useful, that in a sense that it can help me to view the story more informatively.
Yeah. So what else we have learned? That in order to indicate the problem, I use the word but. Are we choosing the love? Something like this, right? So to create interruption, to indicate interruption, I use this word but. But in the grasshopper, what was there? Oh, an ant passed by, bearing along with great toil an ear of corn. So the words of great toil were introduced, right? To contrast. So in order to introduce the problem, you need to think of words also that will create this interruption, some contrast. So in the grasshopper, we have him hopping about. So we know it means happiness, joy, not a care on his mind, right? Not a care. But we have now the great toil. Great toil is a lot of care. So that's how the author now, we can analyze text quite deeply and ask ourselves, how was this interruption created? Well, with words. Great toil is not the same as hopping about your light. You have not a care in your life. And the second sentence talks about great toil. And then this carrying this ear of corn. Oh my God, must be sweating in summer. So, right, so we're looking at tools that texts use to create this contrast, right? Chat, toiling, right? So grasshopper says, come and chat with me. And that's instantly contrasted with, instead of toiling and moiling, It's all on purpose, right? That contrast of lightness and heavy work. Lightness and heavy work is always kept. And these words do this job. Chat with me. Let's have a coffee together. Oh no, I'm just toiling and moiling here and sweating and thinking that in 2 weeks, the weather will change. All right, so so we have a coherence which goes hierarchically, goes from the top to the bottom, but then we use words to create, to signal interruptions from one sequence to the next. So here it's words hopping about as opposed to, say, great toil, which is connected with the end. And in this text that we just did with on where was it? On love, I introduced, but a question, right? A question, because it's all good, you know, we all love, blah, 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 blah. But are we doing it right today? You know, but it's all good. Yeah, we all have this virus, but are we doing this right? So I'm inviting now. So in the disturbance stage, I use the question sentence, right? And in this way, I'm inviting the reader to think with me. So I'm talking to, when I put the question mark, it is for the reader to go, oh, I never thought about that. Yeah, good question. Let's have a look what you're writing next, so that we can see how to answer this question. Yeah, we all laugh. Love has been with us everywhere, but are we doing it right today? I don't know. What's your view? Right. So I created this question, and I began it with the but to interrupt the piece of the focus, which is, oh, well, people all around always have loved someone, right? It's been, oh, it's all good, it's love everywhere. But have you ever thought about that? Are we doing it right? You know, you could have even said, have we ever thought about it? Are we doing it right? So there are, and that's why I truly invite you to also write your text in Khmer, because some of these skills you have in Khmer, like, but are we doing it right? You might actually say it in Khmer, but not in English. So use Google Translate also to see whether your drafts, but remember, Google Translate works with short sentences if you want to use it to correct your English, right? Not with long sentences, a short. But sometimes when you write your text in Khmer, a lot of these stages that I talk about, you actually might be naturally inserting in your own language, but not in English, because it's just a different language. But in your own language, you actually might be, I don't know. So sometimes just see whether your text makes sense in Khmer. So using Khmer to help yourself write English better, it's actually a very good strategy. So do not think it's just English, it's also Khmer here. So anyway, I think that by next week, you will have all your stories finished, and Neri, I'll help Neri, but Neri will be doing the assessment, right? So if you can all just jump into it, write your story, do some reflection. The websites look good. I love the titles of the websites today and the other day as well. They're very innovative, very creative. I would have never thought of such smart titles, so they're extremely good. So you're doing really well. If you don't mind finishing the stories by next week, so we can actually do some assessment and also do some reflection and progress this teaching to the next assessment piece. That would be great. Are you all happy with that?
Yeah, we are, teacher.
We just have to get on with it and move to the next task and the next task and see how we go. I want to thank you very much for waiting for me this long today. I wasn't feeling the best today, and I don't know. I just left home. I just didn't feel really well, and I created the Zoom link and everything, and I just didn't feel well. I had to do a lot of work today, and I just completely, like in the last moment, I completely forgot about the class. I really, truly want to thank you for waiting for me this long today.
Yes, teacher, and also thank you very much, and I am very happy for your recommendation on my story. Yeah, and I'll try my best to update my story as well.
Okay, all right, so we will see each other next week. This class is recorded, so I will put this class back again on our website, which is, I'll show you where I put all of these things again. So on this link, I'll put it in chat. If you go to this particular link, so it will take you, click on the menu for recordings. So you go to here, lecture recordings. And if you go to the bottom, you have the latest ones. So this one from today will be text analysis 6, lecture 6. So I will put it there within the next 20 minutes. It will take me 20 minutes to save it and upload it on the web. Okay, my friends, so I'll see you next week, and all the best. Enjoy your discussions and your stories. And I like to see this collaboration. I really like it, how you actually know who is writing what, and you have these discussions. That's really nice. Really good to have that, togetherness spirit. It's really lonely if you're all on your own. Terrible. All right, my friends, see you next week, okay?
Yes, see you next week, teacher. Next week, teacher. Goodbye, teacher.
Bye-bye.